Yo, what's going on, guys? Jay here, and I got a new album review for y'all today. We're gonna be talking about Magic 2 by Nas. Now, Nas, first of all, not only in my eyes the best rapper of all time after what he did with King's Disease 3, but also one of my favorites. Definitely like a top 3 favorite rapper for me. Obviously, a lot of excitement for me going into Magic 2. I've loved all of his last albums. Obviously, King's Disease, Magic, not the like they're great both, but they're not the most memorable and they're not the best of his run so far. And I think Magic 2 honestly does slot in at the bottom of this run. It makes me wonder if the Nas and Hit collab is a little drawn out a little bit, if it's been a little too much. But this album is still great, guys. It's Nas, it's Hit-Boy. I mean, there's not much more you could ask for. We're getting a lot of not necessarily like super experimental type of rap, but we're getting a lot of production experimentation from Hit-Boy, and it's an album that I've seen simultaneously be overrated and underrated. But yeah, let's talk about it. The intro track on this album is just a vocal clip of Don Magic Juan bragging about his wealth, his riches, and also bringing in some of those King's Disease type of themes, type of mindsets, being on your boss shit. And now Don Magic Juan is someone I've never heard of before, so I decided to do some research. And his credible Wikipedia page lists him as a former pimp, preacher, hip-hop personality, actor, and fashion designer. Now, what movies he's been in, what clothes he's designed, is not a question I could answer for you. But nonetheless, he is here. Real quick, you will hear me mentioning the King's Disease themes a lot throughout this video. It's kind of the central ideas that Nas has been talking about this late into his run. I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of what I'm talking about when I say that. What I mean by this is Nas is rapping a lot about honor, respect, legacy, fame, loyalty, family, as well as topics like black excellence and being the best you could be, being a provider for your community and your family. And it's just about reaching your full potential. A lot of very positive theming and very, again, lavish, very eccentric. Other important qualities of the King's Disease themes are, taking time every day to smell the roses, just enjoying, loving life, appreciating what you have. And a lot of it is also things he's learned with age at this point, which he's referenced a lot. Nas has been in the game 30 years, he's going on 50. He's rapping a lot about that, his life now compared to back then and what he's learned, how he's benefited from his successes. Now on the first real song, Abracadabra, we get a high energy, fast flowing Nas. We get a very blingy and vibrant instrumental here backed by some synths. Yeah, this is just some peak braggadocious Nas. He is flexing up, bossing up, and he is grabbing the throne, grabbing the crown, letting you know that he is him right off the rip. Following Office Hours has a calm boom bap beat, and it is just textbook Nas continuing to brag and boast about all of his accomplishments in the business world and in the rap game. The 50 verse is not great here, although it's not as bad as people make it out to be. You're still getting some solid bars and good energy. It's just not peak 50. I think, at least for me, it's easy to sit with this because I don't think of 50 Cent as a great rapper other than really Get Rich or Die Trying. I feel like he really peaked early with that and has never reached those highs again. So, again, this verse isn't very disappointing to me, but it's also not jumping out as one of the greatest verses I've ever heard. It's pretty mid, it's alright, it's good. And of course, you do get a bar that I just find to be humorous. It's a pretty shitty bar from Nas, pretty weak, but he does say he's from the hood that started the year. Very funny. Black Magic is an elegant track with a little twinge of southern hip-hop influence on the instrumental, bringing it to life and also giving you this different type of beat from what Nas is rapping on the rest of this album, and different than he's really rapped over in his whole career. And again, at this point, we're getting some pretty standard Nas content as he's nonchalantly dropping some knowledge and some big flexes on you. We see Nas tackling a final boss type instrumental on the track Motion. Nas establishes dominance quickly on this track with his presence and with his energy as he paints you some vivid pictures about his lavish yet dangerous life that he is living. A more weak moment on the track list, we're not talking about a bad song, just a song that is not as good as the rest of the content on Magic 2. We're talking about Bokeem Woodbine, which has an interesting minimalistic beat, not something I've really heard Nas over before, and he doesn't fit super well over it. His performance is pretty calm and monotonous. Lyrically, we are getting some great stuff here, and overall, it's not a bad song, but it is a weaker moment on this album. Another, I guess, weaker point for Magic 2 is the fact that there is also, like I said, there's no bad tracks. There's no like super standout, perfect, incredible Nas tracks here. I feel like every Nas album so far has had some great standout moments. You look at King's Disease 2 and think about a track like Nobody with that Lauryn Hill feature, which was absolutely beautiful, an incredible track. And here, it's lacking that wow factor, and it's also lacking a lot of replay value and memorability for me. Because with an artist like Nas, who has such a large catalog, he has so many incredible songs, with a lot of tracks here not being the craziest I've ever heard from him. They kind of just fell off my radar quickly. However, I will say this is Nas's most braggadocious album ever. In terms of just his flexes and how much he is talking his shit and building himself up, I don't know if he's ever been trying to boss up on you like this. Like I mentioned before, we are getting some more experimentation on the production side from Hit-Boy on tracks I talked about, like Abracadabra and Bokeem Woodbine so far, but we also got a track like Irving Michael Johnson, where this experimentation on this more out there, on this more different instrumental did not really pay off. Where we're getting this really awkward horn and drum based instrumental where Nas is rapping, and again, he's talking and shit, he's doing whatever, but it's really, he never is quite on beat, and it makes it hard to focus on the track. His voice always sounds a little out of pace, a little ahead, or a little behind the actual beat. We do get a nice bridge here where there's a break and we get a nice vocal sample hit in the instrumental. But overall, this is one of the weaker, if not the weakest, or at least my least favorite track from Nas in the 2020s so far. And again, that's because we're getting bars like, and let me read this off for you. This is from a Nas track, mind you, not like a, I don't even know, who should I take shots at right now? I don't know, honestly, like, this flow and rhyme scheme I could attribute to someone as like a rapper as bad as Lil Xan, to be honest. But Nas said family ties, squad ties, money ties, suit and ties, shoes tied, ready to ride, choose a side. Now, just so you know, is Nas rhyming eyes or eyed syllable 7 different times in a row with very weak vocabulary. We're talking mostly words shorter than like 4 or 5 letters here. Like, this was clearly just, this feels like a complete throwaway segment and just is very off-putting to hear from Nas and anyone in general. This is not a good, like, part of a verse. This is all L. This is all bad. What it all really means is a major highlight on the album for me. Reading this very beautiful and lush boom bap instrumental that features some angelic samples woven in. And to me, honestly, this really gives me the Blueprint vibes by Jay-Z. This is just a very boastful instrumental, very triumphant, while also just being very, again, the beautiful sampling in there as well. This really does feel like it could have been a leftover instrumental from that time period, but it's Hit-Boy. We also get Nas's best rapping on the album here, and we're getting some very eccentric flexes from Nas here. He's really showing you a different side of his wealth. And this is the reason I love this track is this is the most refreshing Nas track here. This is like the most original, I mean the best as well, but it's different. We're not getting Nas trying out trap beats. We're getting a tried and true amazing instrumental from Hit-Boy, and just some of Nas's most potent verses here, some of his best flows. And then of course we have One Mic, One Gun with 21 Savage, which has been out for a while now. I really enjoyed this song when it came out. I love Nas, I love 21 Savage. Hearing them together was fun. Obviously we do get a more simple Nas verse here, but it is, again, this is more about the moment it was, and just to, you know, like 21 said, can't be dissing no legend, I'm trying to be next in line. I think this is a pretty monumental track for 21, and just for the culture, super cool to see a huge artist blew up out of the SoundCloud scene, literally off of I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with Nas, someone who is legitimately, again, to me, the best rapper of all time. But if you don't think he is, to you, he has to be at least one of the best, because absolute legend. And again, super fun, playful banger. Can't not love this song when it comes on. Overall, I did leave this album feeling a little, again, I don't know if like disappointed is the right word, because this was a good album. This was a great album. You know, I feel like I've been talking down on it a lot, but that's just because it's Nas and Hit-Boy, and we've seen what they can do. But it really does just make me feel the two should take some time apart. Not, and maybe I don't think Nas needs to take a break from making music or rapping at all. And I don't think Hit Boy, you know what I mean? They could do what they want, but I think in terms of, I think we need more variety. I think Nas and Hit Boy had their moment. I don't think they should spoil it. You know what I'm saying? There's always a show that they could have ended a couple seasons earlier, a movie series that didn't need this sequel. There are album trilogies and runs that also go on for too long. Look at Trippie Redd with the A Love Letter to You series. Hopefully Nas and Hit-Boy don't spoil the moment. Let them get their flowers that they deserve. And I mean, yeah, it's a great Nas album. You know, I feel like it's not much deeper than that. If you know what you're getting with Nas, if you don't, he is one of the best lyricists of all time, one of the best rappers of all time, vivid storyteller, some of the best flows, one of the biggest vocabularies, just an absolute technical wizard. And again, so it's a great project nonetheless, despite the criticisms may have and the yearning for something new from Nas. But I mean, overall, it's a great record, and I will be giving it a 7.5 out of 10. If you have listened to Magic 2, let me know what you think in the comments. I haven't seen the most talk around this. It also has been out for a while, so let me know how you're feeling it. And if you haven't heard it, why are you sleeping on Nas, man? You know, it's time to turn off that yeet and go listen to Illmatic. Listen to some real hip-hop gang. But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that bullshit. But yeah, again, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.